What's up, guys? Hope you're doing well. And I'm here to tell you, what am I here to tell you? Oh, yeah, that you can work in Dolby Atmos at home without needing a full-fledged studio. Now, that's not to say being surrounded by all these speakers is really cool and that it's really going to help up your game in the mixing community. You can now work in an immersive virtual studio. So basically what you're doing with this software is you're sending it a 7.1.4 or 9.1.6 or whatever configuration you have in your studio or whatever's best for your studio, and sending it to this application, and it basically renders out in a binaural version of what it would actually sound like if you were sitting in the middle of this space. Now, in comparison to my slightly calibrated room, this is very, very, very similar to a real world experience when working with speakers. Let's take a look at the application. So as far as I know, it's just a one size fits all window. So I'm not able to expand it any more than what it already is. No big deal. We'll just have to work with it. So basically it gives you a view of what the actual studio looks like that it is emulating. So right now I'm on the Magic Mix Room, and it gives you a little description at the bottom right that kind of explains who this is and what studio is coming from. And from my understanding, the people at Embody have actually sent this to the studios and made sure that it sounds as close or as great as it can be to the original studio speaker configuration. You have a bunch of other ones that you can get separately. As far as I know, this is free. I don't think it actually is. I think you have a trial of 25 days for the actual software itself, but you can also buy additional studios. There's an Avid Immersive Audio Lab. To me, it doesn't sound quite that great. Echo Bar Studio A, it's kind of cool. My favorite one, though, and I don't know what it is about it, between the Diamond Live Room and the Anechoic Chamber, these just sound super pristine. And if you're wanting an accurate sound or an accurate representation of what your sound is going to come through on a decent speaker system or a perfectly calibrated system, I might add, I love this one. It sounds great. It sounds just like speakers, exactly how it should sound like. No reverberations, no anything else. You're not just limited to a 7.1.4 setup when sending audio and routing. You can also do 7.1.2, 7.1, 5.1 stereo. That's great already by yourself. In a stereo environment, if you're just working with stereo and you don't have your speakers around, you have options to be able to have an emulation of this stereo environment like you're having speakers in front of you. 7.1.6, 9.1.6. You can even do custom renderers, which is really cool. So right in the middle, underneath our visual image here, we have our main display. We have the option to add ambience, I guess, to give more of a real room type feel. I usually just leave it off. That's my personal preference, but do whatever you like with that. Right above this little image, you have the ability to solo your lower half of your studio and the upper half, which is essentially your surround speakers with your LFE and the upper height speakers. So if you had a 916 configuration, you'd be soloing 6 height speakers. Onto this next tab, we have the routing tab. And to me, this is more like just making sure everything's routed correctly, coming from whether it be the Dolby renderer or if you're using an internal renderer and going out of that. Really handy to have. Next is the monitoring tab. You can monitor on various sources. I just have it set to one source right now. I don't know what the application would be for multiple sources at one time, but I'm just going to keep it at source A, which is going to be real beneficial for me. You have some integrated LUFS values and true peak measurements, along with gain, which you can adjust yourself. I believe if you option click, it'll reset it as well. We have the option to adjust our headphone EQ and our HRTF intensity. More on that in a moment. You'll want to stay for that because that's really integral to this software right here that makes it stand out above the rest. And in the final tab, we also have the limiter, which is a peak limiter. It's very transparent, at least to my ears. I barely notice it's there whenever it's kind of condensing all of these channels together. To me, it sounds great. We also have this gear knob, which is going to give us some additional settings. If you need the ability to low pass filter under 150 hertz, you can. I like to do it just because if it's emulating like it's going to be in a room, you'll want to have some pre-calibration in that aspect. Minimum phase response, I guess that's to get a higher quality phase coherent binaural effect. So whenever you're having all these panning moments, it's going to be better in phase. I don't know why that's even an option. They should just leave it. I think it may take up more CPU. I could be wrong on that. And down below, we also have the solo behavior. So we have latch and exclusive. So latch basically allows you to go to any speaker and just click on it one time and it'll latch to it. Now, when you go to another speaker, it'll also latch onto that and so on. So if you want to latch onto multiple speakers at a time, you can do so. For exclusive, we're going to click on that. And now when we click on certain speakers, it's going to manually unsolo and mute certain speakers depending on what was last clicked. So if I want the LFE only, LFE only. And then whenever I click off of that again, we have the full speaker arrangement. When I click the LFE and then go back to the center speaker, maybe it's gonna remute that LFE channel. Super handy to have, great solo behavior. I love it. It's cool. Now, what really makes this software stand out above the rest, to my knowledge, is that you have the ability to create a head-related transfer function and upload it to your software. And if you don't know what that is, it's an HRTF, which stands for head-related transfer function, and it's basically a scan of your ears, the front of your face, and the side. And it basically tells the software how the sound needs to react in relation to your head. Because everybody's ears and faces are different, so everybody's going to get a different experience. And when I first tried this software out, it was good. It was great. It was okay. But I didn't realize it was giving me a generic HRTF. Once I scanned it with a QR code within the software from my phone, did a scan on my camera from my phone, and uploaded it back into the software, holy junk. It's incredible. Like, it's night and day difference, which goes back into detail with this HRTF intensity. Having it smack dab in the middle, to me, does really well. And on top of the HRTF, you also have some headphone EQs. So for my example, I'm working with the LCD-X's by Audeze. All you have to do is click the drop-down menu of the manufacturer and find your headphones. Either way, with the power of being able to upload your head-related transfer function, along with the headphone EQ, and having all these abilities to listen to a full 3D space, what else do you need? Oh, I know what else you need. An Apple Music binaural renderer. So if you're new to Dolby Atmos, you're probably wondering what all these differences between spatial audio and binaural audio. It's all different. It's all different algorithms and encoding. But basically, Apple has a different way of doing things than everybody else does. And to be able to monitor that, you essentially have to have either a separate plugin or actually export your file as an MP4, then upload it to your phone, and then listen on AirPods and see what it sounds like. Embody fixes this issue. Kind of. So if I'm sending a signal from the Dolby Atmos renderer into this Immersive Virtual Studio, I can click on Apple Music, put on a pair of AirPods, and listen to what it's supposed to sound like. Tremendous. This is awesome. There's one caveat. Your monitoring sources are going to be based off of the Apple HRTF, not the one you upload into your software. So basically, whenever you go to your monitoring sources, you have an Apple generic HRTF, or if you have one already made for your AirPods, you'll actually be able to put on the Apple personalized HRTF. And also on top of that, you want to also change the headphone EQ to AirPods Pro, or if you're using AirPods Max, use the AirPods Max. It's a little disappointing that those are the only two, but really, if you're going to go into this industry and you want some high quality, really good pairs of headphones, those two are the way to go. And even better than that, you also have the ability to do head tracking. It's not letting me right now because I don't have my AirPods in, but you can also do head tracking, which is a game saver, a lifesaver, a game changer, life changer. It's crazy. It's so cool. And I could talk all day about how cool this is. But what does it sound like? All right, guys, grab a pair of headphones. We're taking a listen. So the way I have this set up is I have a project in Pro Tools that is going into the Dolby Atmos renderer. From there, I'm going to go to my preferences and go to audio output device and set it to immersive audio bridge, which comes with the Embody software. And make sure that headphone only mode is turned off. You want the full range signal, all the channels, 7.1.4, whatever your configuration is. That's what you want to be sending to Embody. So we're going to accept that. Going to change our monitoring up here at the top left to physical. We're going to go to the Immersive Virtual Studio, go to its preferences, and basically how I'm able to bring up these audio settings really quick is using the key command comma. This works for almost every software out there. So if you really want to get to your settings and preferences really quickly, it's a great command to know. So for this, we're going to set our output to, I'm going to set it to the screen recording, which is my Volt 476, but also to my input, which is going to be the immersive audio bridge coming from the Dolby Atmos renderer. Give it a second. Sometimes it takes a second. So I'm not sure exactly what happened there, but I had to restart the program. Yeah, that's the only bug I've come across so far is whenever you're opening it for the first time after a while, or if it's been open for a while and you haven't changed your inputs and outputs, is that whenever you change your input device, it gets kind of weird and it starts freezing up. So the easy solution is just to quit the application and then reopen it. No big deal. I'm not too upset about that. I'm going to close this and I'm going to just leave it on the Magic Mix Room. I'm going to tab over to Pro Tools again and hit play. And I've confirmed on the Immersive Virtual Studio that I was having all channels playing at the same time. So I'm going to skip over to a section of the song where there's more ambient sounds coming from the height channels. And I'm going to be able to solo between the lower half and the height channels. So let's go over to the chorus. I think it's about right here. Tremendous software, guys. This is awesome. Just that alone, being able to solo what it sounds like before the height channels and after the height channels, and it really depends on the mix too. So if you're not utilizing height channels all that aggressively like I am, to me, this is very, very extra. Let's take a listen to some other rooms. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if immersive audio is your deal. I hope to see you in the next video. Thanks for stopping by.